a show, very entertaining.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who this be, it's your girl KylerB coming at you for a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1. And let's just talk about these 7 episodes. So, you know, the main kids, they're starting high school now. Nancy and Jonathan are about to end high school and trying to get into college. Steve, Steve I think already has graduated. But he's doing his own thing for the moment. And I think also Robin as well has graduated as well. I think Robin and Steve are like the older ones. I don't know, because I'm like, how is Steve older than basically everybody there? But yeah. So let's just get right into it. Let's just talk about it. Theories, spoilers. This is spoiler. So if you have not seen Volume 1 of Stranger Things Season 4, you have to watch it, because I'm going to be, giving my takes, okay? So, the first couple episodes, in the first 8 minutes, obviously, with the preview that we have seen, we see, there was a whole massacre in the Hawkins laboratory, and you're like, oh, 11 did this, 11 did that. So then, you're like, oh my gosh, 11. Oh, no wonder why they're on the hunt for, 11. Next thing you know, you see that 11's living in Nevada, and her name is Jane Hopper right now. And she's adjusting, and she has basically people bullying her, and she misses Mike and basically the rest of them. So it's a shaky start, she's writing letters to Mike, letting him know, what's going on, but she's leaving out huge details that, she's getting bullied, she's not making friends, nothing is going her way. Next thing you know, spring break of 1985, spring break of 1986 occurs, and Mike goes to visit 11 on spring break. So 11, Jane, Elle, she lives with Joyce and Jim, Jonathan, and Will. And Will is just so, what's it called? You don't even know what's going on. He made a drawing, but I guess he made it for Mike because he didn't even show 11 the drawing. But then when Mike came to visit them for spring break, he was like, oh, I made something for you, but Mike was too busy with 11. Anyway, the bully who was bullying that girl is who was just messing around with 11 and bullying her. Yeah, she deserved that hit, okay? How you gonna embarrass her at the skating rink, throw smoothie in her face, and you were bullying her, basically laughing because 11 doesn't know that Jim Hopper is alive. Spoiler alert, Jim Hopper's alive. So 11 doesn't know that he's alive, so she thinks he's dead. So she's over here laughing at the fact that 11 made a project based around Jim Hopper, who was basically a father to her. And basically laughing oh, he's gone or whatever. And I'm just that is so rude. So 11 was getting humiliated, bullied, all that jazz. And the girl would just keep on edging 11 on. Next thing you know, 11 hit her with a skating shoe. And she felt so bad about it. But I was that hit was deserved. It was probably she could have hurt her really severely. But that hit was deserved. And the next thing you know, they go arrest 11 because the girl pressed charges. Which is man, that sucks. Because I guess 11 couldn't explain herself that she was getting bullied all the time by that same girl, might I add. That's why she hit her with the roller skate. But yeah, 11 got sent to jail because the girl pressed charges, but obviously she got out of jail. So it's like episode 1, 2, Jonathan and his friend Argyle, they were just there. They were just like older people in this show. So we got the 2 teams. We got Mike, 11, Will, Jonathan, and Argyle. Joyce and Maury, who's going to go find Hopper in Russia. And then you got Lucas, Max, Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Robin, with the addition of Eddie, like as a team. So they all come into play later. So I really definitely, the biggest team, and then this big team of 8 split up to 4. It split into 4. So basically there was this thing happening where, you know, a bunch of kids were getting killed, and then they were trying to blame it on Eddie, because Eddie was in this Dungeons and Dragons type of club. So they're like, oh, the whole high school, what's it called, basketball team trying to like have a hunt on Eddie. We're just like, what? And then Lucas had to play dumb, like, oh, he don't even know who that guy is, whatever, and like lead them on a goose hunt. And then that was just jacked up, because it's just like, it just shows you the hive mind type of mentality of like these small towns, because man just said, oh, he's a weirdo, he likes Dungeons and Dragons, oh, and the death happened there where he lived at, oh yeah, he's the one who did this, let's go find him. And they literally were like, oh, we're just gonna chat. The guys were bringing baseball bats and crowbars to come speak to Eddie or find Eddie. Eddie was hiding out in somebody's like backyard for days, relying on Dustin and all them to help them. But yeah, it was a whole thing. Like, I definitely, the group of Will, Mike, Jonathan, and them, they basically were the least important group so far. They didn't even get to help 11 yet. I mean, this is volume 1, so I don't know what's going to happen in volume 2, but they didn't even find 11. They're basically useless. Yeah. Dustin, Lucas, Max, Steve, Nancy, Robin, they were definitely under detective stuff, trying to find what the Vecna is, who the Vecna is. Like, it was just a lot. It was just like, they really put in their work, okay? They were really on their Sherlock Holmes type of stuff. And Joyce and Murray, trying to find Hopper, they did their, you know, they got kidnapped, and, you know, they found a way to get out of getting kidnapped and to find Hopper, and they did, and they were successful, okay? Like, they really put in that work. Now, when Hopper escaped from that Russian prison, and he was on his way, and he literally escaped, and then Yuri, or whatever that guy's name, who snitched on them, that was just so messed up, because the man really had to break his ankles, like cut his ankles and like try to get the cuffs off his ankles. He did all that work, you know, fought this person, all that stuff, barefoot in the snow, running. He escaped. He got to shelter. Next thing you know, this guy snitched on him, and I'm like, bruh, like, he was already escaped. He already escaped. Then he went back into the Russian prison. And basically it was like they had to fight the Demogorgon or whatever. So it was like thank goodness that Joyce and Murray found a way to like get out of that situation, because they got kidnapped, or not kidnapped, but basically tied up too, because they were gonna get sent to their death. And then they found a way out of the situation. Murray, knowing Russian, that came into clutch in this situation, but they found Hopper. We're like so happy about that. Now, it was kind of cool before we get to that, but like episode 4, that episode was the episode, because the whole shootout at Will's house, which is so like, you had to like, you were alert, okay, because it was just like happening so fast, because it's just people just bust into your house, start shooting up your house. Then you got the 2 agents there, basically like, oh, follow me. Like, next thing you know, someone busts into your house, starts shooting, and you got these two kids and two teen adults, or two adult trying to run out of the place, and then Argyle coming with pizza to try to like help them escape. He's like, oh, why are there people with guns here? And then that episode, and then Max, you know, trying to like stay alert from the Vecna, and then her getting caught up with the Vecna, and then that song at the end, like, it was so nice, like, with the whole transition into the music, and like basically throughout the whole volume 1, it was just like you just hear the Kate Bush song, like it was just like in the background just playing. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, that episode 4, Dear Billy, like, it was just so, that was like one of the best episodes probably. Like, Max giving everybody letters, basically like saying her goodbyes, you know, the whole Vecna scene, the whole thing with the agents and stuff like that, and then them taking 11 and basically taking them to the laboratory. That was just like an episode. And then basically we're just gonna get to the end. So that whole thing when Steve, Eddie, Robin, and Nancy are in the Upside Down, and you know, Dustin, Erica, Lucas, and Max basically had to help them. So it was just so interesting, like how the transition was, like they're here and they're up there, and then they're like climbing to go up, and then when they climb to go up, they fall, like they're falling back down, which was just like a big old transition. It was like so cool. Definitely, it was just like, it was a nice transition. I understand where that $30 million per episode went, you know, the little illusions. Also, the reveal of Vecna and the whole background story, that was very cool, because while Nancy was basically like having this hypnosis thing with the Vecna, that was just like from Nancy trying to get up, like everybody trying to escape from the Upside Down. So Robin went first, Eddie went next, Nancy was going, next thing you know, the Vecna got Nancy. So Nancy was like, they show Barb, they really revealed Barb, and I'm like, Barb died since season 1, like, hello? But yeah, I think season 1, season 2, Barb died, okay? And they're still showing her, like, it's all Nancy's fault, Nancy, like, you're the reason Barb is gone. And then, which kind of is the truth. And then, you know, the Vecna's like, I remember everything. And basically he gave the whole backstory, basically saying that Nancy was basically very close to finding out the whole story about the Vecna. So that whole story with the guy who's basically said to kill, who had basically arrested for killing his whole family, basically it wasn't true. So the Vecna was a little kid, the guy's son, who has basically the same, you know, powers that 11 have. So he basically, I guess, was a different kid, and he had a feeling, he like discovered his powers, like living in that house, you know, was able to do certain things, mess with the lights, you know, mess with the radio, able to like lift people up into the air, all that different things. Basically, same powers 11 has. So he was the one who actually killed his family and almost killed his father, or basically what he wanted was his father to get arrested for the murdering of his family. And basically that backstory was just like, oh, and then the whole massacre at Hawkins was basically, that was the same guy who was the kid who basically killed his own mother and sister and got his father arrested. And then he was the one who massacred the people at Hawkins. And I guess 11 got blamed for it, because 11, when she came to the lab, she was basically undergoing like this type of, she was in this type of stimulation. So it was just like, you were trying to figure out what's real and what's a simulation, because 11 is in the simulation to try to regain her powers. And, you know, she's going through these tests and going through these memory jogs. And you go through this whole that situation that you see in the first 8 minutes of the show, where you think 11 is the one who basically killed everybody in the laboratory. Come to find out, this guy named 1, he was the OG, a lab experiment people who has the same powers that 11 has, was basically the one who killed everybody in the lab. And I guess 11 took all her energy, and she was the one who took to create the first portal in Hawkins. So she was the one who opened the portal. So basically shows the the originator or whatever of like the whole upside down. She's the one, 11 was the one to create the upside down, kind of not create the upside down, but she opened the portal to the upside down by, I guess, creating the Vecna in a sense, because she's the one who kind of like used all her energy to disintegrate the guy into the Vecna, and come to find out the Vecna is the same one guy. So it's just like, oh wow, that like big type of reveal was actually pretty interesting. It was really cool. Episode 4 and 8 were very much the best episodes of, is it 8? Episode 4 and 7 was definitely the best episodes of Volume 1. Can't wait to see what happens in Volume 2, definitely, because Nancy is still in the Upside Down, or still in the simulation, and she's like this close to getting, killed too. So, Steve's gonna have to find her favorite song to get her out of that. And then Steve's still in there, so someone's gonna have to jump down, try to help Nancy, or Steve's gonna have to help her and try to help Nancy. Yeah, that was a good Volume 1. It actually is quite interesting because you thought that 11 was the one to like massacre the whole kids, but to come to find out, it was the Vecna. Well, the person who is a Vecna, who turned into a Vecna, basically was the one who did that. And basically, it's kind of interesting that the Vecna, like, they basically told you in episode 7 that, 11, basically, what does the Vecna and 11 have in common? And basically, they have the same, like, mind powers, and stuff like that. So, teleconnected powers and stuff like that. So, and it was able to get inside your mind, just like how 11 is able to get inside your mind. Basically, just how the Vecna, who was originally the kid from who was in that house. So it's kind of like quite interesting, the backstory that they actually wrote for that. Yeah, so that's what I gotta say. Volume 1 is pretty good. I was shooketh at the end of episode 7. I was shooketh. So we got to see if Nancy is able to get out alive. 11 has her powers back, which is really great. So let's see what these 8 and 9, episodes 8 and 9 gives. That 30 million per episode. I mean, I see what they, put into that. I see what they did with that money, 30 million per episode. I mean, they could have cut it off a little bit, but I see where that money came into play. Yeah, like the Vecna, the Vecna is actually not CGI. It's like a whole sculpture, so I can understand, like, that's expensive to make. And then, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, did they shave Millie Bobby Brown's head over? Because I'm like, she had a whole head full of hair, and then her head just got shaved going back into the laboratory. But basically, I'm trying to figure out, is this Papa person, Dr. Brenner, is he a bad person or not? Because basically, I mean, he kind of helps 11. I'm just trying to say, is that memory of 11 basically creating Vecna? She created Vecna while opening the portal. So that memory of 11 doing that was what made her regain her powers. So that's not a current thing. So the guy that we see in these flashbacks, he's not in present day, present time. So all those flashbacks that we see of the kids, they're not there. This is just a flashback to 79. So it was kind of interesting seeing older 11, younger 11, like, interchange. And then, like, you're trying to figure out what's going on. So they really digged into the memory thing and try to, like, see what's going on. So I'm just like, is Dr. Brenner, like, really just watching everything, like, what's going on in her head? Or he just, like, waiting for, like, results? But, yeah, Volume 1 was really good. What are your theories? People really think that Steve's gonna die. Steve is not gonna die. He's gonna probably save Nancy. And let me tell you about Steve and Nancy. I've been Steve and Nancy Stancy since day one, okay? So, yeah, people like Jonathan and Nancy. Yeah, they're cool too. Like, if they're able to get Endgame, whatever, good for them. But there's too many, like, scenes where you're just, like, insinuating that they're gonna get back together. Like, the whole, you know, they're in a life and death situation, you know, she's back in 2 years ago reading a diary from when her and Steve were still together, flashbacks. Then with Lucas and Max, yeah, they're probably, like, the best relationship in terms of in the show, because the whole I see you now, and then when basically he was just like, oh, I missed your laugh or whatever, all that jazz. He was like, because definitely Max was just going through a lot, and obviously a lot of things are going on. People were trying to say, like, you know, they didn't realize Max cared about Billy so much. I mean, she even said in her letter to him, like, they didn't really care for each other, but his death really kind of took a toll on her, which is understandable. Because really, you would think Max wouldn't care for her, but, like, you gotta understand, these people are not evil. Like, they care about people who even were mean to them. So, I mean, that's still her stepbrother, so, you know, so, because obviously Billy, definitely problematic, to say the least. But I guess his only good deed was, you know, saving the kids in the end. So you gotta actually appreciate that or whatever. You gotta appreciate it, and obviously the kids do appreciate it, because obviously, even though he was one of the worst characters, he died basically being a hero. So that was good. Other than that, Volume 1 was good. Those hour-long episodes were long, but I made it through. And yeah. What are your thoughts on Volume 1? Can't wait for Volume 2 in July 1st. But yeah. If you like the video, like the video. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.